but there's a lot to unpack in this game. I just found out, and let's welcome in our buddy FP, Final Pitch with FP. I just found out, literally Dibs just clued me in, that today, is it 9 years? 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
7-year anniversary of Hunter Strickland and Bryce Harper, and on the same mound and at the same plate, Kyle Harrison and Bryce Harper almost became a thing. Benches cleared, and everybody got into one another's face. FP, what was your reaction to all of it?
That Kyle Harrison was in 8th grade 7 years ago?
Wow.
There's a takeaway.
That's incredible.
That is, yeah.
Wow.
No, I did. I was broadcasting that game, and we went to break, and I said, Strickland, I think my partner, Bob Carpenter, said Strickland coming in and Bryce Harper leading off. And I said, there's history between those guys, like right before we went to commercial break. As you remember, I think it was 14 playoffs when Bryce hit a home run into the Bay, and he was jogging around, and Strickland was chasing him around the bases, yelling at him, kind of like Madison Bumgarner used to do with some guys every now and then. So, yeah, that reminded me of it. And then the first pitch, and they went, and I said, there's history there. And, that was the end of Michael Morse's career. I'm sure you guys have been talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got hit by Samardzija. But I didn't know it was to the day until Kuip Krug said that. And all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, that was 7 years ago. Time flies. But, yeah, Kyle Harrison has trouble to lefties. And he's got a thing going on, a little funk, where he's hit some lefties this year. I think he hit Freddie Freeman with the Dodgers. I'm trying to think of another big lefty that he knocked down, and it's kind of the arm side run on his fastball where I'm starting to wonder if he has a little phobia or a little hiccup there when he's facing a big left-hander that he tries to overthrow or something, because he's dotted a few of them, and today he sent a couple of messages to Bryce Harper. Those weren't intentional, and I think if you saw on the telecast or anybody saw on the telecast, you guys are working, that Bryce Harper and Matt Williams, who was his old manager in Washington, he said, my bad, that Bryce might have overreacted. But in Bryce's defense, it is the big leagues, and you do throw the ball over the plate, and he's been hit in the hand before. I think he missed a lot of time with the Phillies recently by getting hit in the hand. I forget, was it Blake Snell actually that hit him in the hand? I think Blake Snell hit Bryce Harper in the hand and broke his hand when Snell was with the Padres. So he's probably scared and reacted as such today. So that's one of those things Kyle's got to figure out, because he has been wild to lefties.
Yeah, and even beyond him being wild, it seemed like that next pitch was a bit of a message. You think that it was just more arm side, lack of command, as opposed to him trying to get back in the kitchen after Bryce Harper clearly took umbrage after the first pitch? And Mark and I were talking about it during the break, having watched it. It didn't even seem like that first one was that much of an up and in brushback pitch.
I forget what site it was on. I just saw it was MLB, and they showed it. And one of the comments in there said, you can't even pitch inside anymore. And it was Art Johnson 51. So Randy Johnson commented on Instagram that you can't even throw it inside anymore. And I think he was just, I don't know. I don't think the second one was a message. I do like Kyle Harrison's, I'm a closer, but I'm a starter mentality. I love that he just goes right after guys. But I don't think he has the stature yet as a major league player to throw at a Bryce Harper just because he pops off to him. That's down the road a little bit. And maybe you got some resume and you've been in the league for a while, and you're facing a guy that's been in the league in a while, and he looks at you wrong, and then you get pissed. But I think Kyle Harrison's, 22, 23? He doesn't have the resume or the credentials to be throwing at Bryce Harper on purpose. I think those both just got away.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you. However, I'm also going to, we got to spend a little bit more on Bryce's reaction. That's completely out of line. Did you read his lips? He yelled at him to throw the ball over the plate. It's like, no, dude, I'm trying to get you out. That ball was a little up and in. It brushed him off. He's able to scream at the 22-year-old pitcher and try to intimidate him just because he's Bryce and Kyle's got no recourse. I don't know, man. Bryce to me took that whole thing in a completely poor direction.
Well, he's a hothead, number one. You saw his reaction. Did you see what he did with his bat? You guys probably didn't see it. He was chopping wood.
Oh, yeah, we did.
He hit the hell out of the bat rack. And, that's emotion right there. It's the heat of the battle. I have no problem with Bryce Harper said. If he'd have charged the mound out of nowhere for that, then I would have had a big problem. But like when you've been hit before, I mean, you're getting a hitter's take here, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been hit before and you've missed significant time before, and it's the big leagues and you're supposed to throw all the ball over the plate and you miss even on accident, you'll hear, guys used to scream when they threw at Giambi back in the day, like, you're messing with my ring. Meaning, that's my ticket to a World Series right there. So guys don't like to be thrown in when there could be an injury. So I think it was just a natural reaction on a guy that's been hurt. And I've said it. A lot of big leaguers say, throw the ball over the effing plate. That's your take. Like, that's your job. Throw it over you can pitch in, but when you start to go up around the head then all kinds of different chemicals get released in your brain, and you start to snap a little bit when it comes at your face.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't imagine how I would react after 95 brushes me back off the plate. Final pitch with FP here on 95.7 The Game. Beyond the incident, let's talk about Kyle Harrison, the pitcher, because looks to me, FP, like a lot of misses in the strike zone. He got tattered today a little bit, 12 hits allowed. Where do you have Kyle Harrison right now in his first real full season as a starter?
Sure, boy, I don't know. Like, there's good and there's bad, right? And I think that's what you're going to get with a lot of these kids. You're going to get like, holy cow, look at this guy. He's a stud. He's going after him. His 93 plays like 95. He's not afraid to throw his fastball. He blew it by him. And then that same pitch goes off the wall, the next hitter. And I think we have to remember that the Phillies probably have the best, if not close to the best lineup in all of baseball right now. And the one coming into town on Friday is not too bad either. But and the Yankees. But I like Kyle when he pitches. But sometimes he throws, and I think there's going to be a time when he matures and realizes, and his off speed is effective enough, and he can land the slider and he can bounce the slider. Like the art of pitching is throwing strikes when you want to, but it's also throwing balls when you want to, and making those balls look like strikes. And I think once he gets to that, where things start to slow down a little bit, and I love the macho. Be macho, bro. Go after him. Let's go. Here it is. Hit it. But then there has to be a certain time when you're like, I'm going to go first pitch change up and steal the strike right here. This guy's his front shoulder's leaking. I watched him in the on deck circle. I was watching his swing. His front side's opening up. I think the slider plays here. Whatever the scouting report says, you get to a point where things slow down and you're reading swings real time. Greg Maddux, look at the on deck hitter and watch his practice swings and see where he was looking for the ball while he was facing the guy on the mound. So you get to a point in your career where it becomes a chess game. You're reading swings real time. You know where your defense is playing. You know who's playing defense. You know who's on deck. You peek over and see what they're swinging, what they're thinking of. So I think once he starts to get a lot of innings and a lot of years, you're going to see Kyle Harrison, the pitcher. Right now, Kyle's young and he's going after guys like you would imagine, right? Like, let's go, let's do this, bro. Woof, woof, woof. And then he ran into that one. So I like his makeup. I like his makeup better than his stuff, and his stuff is pretty good.
FP Santangelo with us. Okay, FP, we need to take our listeners through what happened in the second inning with Marco Luciano. And we have some of the sound from NBC Sports Bay Area and the way Kruk and Kipe talked about it, but I want to hold that for a second. We'll play it for everybody. But the real quick synopsis, he's a little slow releasing a regular ground ball to short. The Philly player beat it out and made it an infield single. It was, who was the player? It was Stotts. Okay, so Stotts ends up beating it out and gets an infield single out of the whole thing. In the very next half inning, the Giants are up. Luciano's due up. He sits down in favor of Brett Wisely. There was speculation that he was being benched for taking too long to throw that ball. The Giants have said it was a hamstring injury, and he did talk to Dave Greshner and go down the tunnel. But start with what your reaction was to the play.
Well, you guys have heard me say it to you on the air and off the air about shortstop and reps and the internal clock and knowing who's fast and who's not, and having that natural Omar Vizquel in your body to know that, like, I'm taking too long or this guy can run a little bit. But there's also pre-pitch preparation as a shortstop at any level. So if there's young kids listening out there, you're not just like, the outs and the score and the runs. You're like, how deep am I playing right now and how fast is this guy? And if the ball's hit to me at a certain speed, do I need to hurry or can I take my time? Is it the catcher running and I get a 3-hopper and I can set myself and make a nice firm throw, 4 seams right on the money, hit him in the chest? Or is it a guy like Stott that's a plus runner from the left side and you need to get rid of it based on the speed of the ball. So these are all things that baseball players have. Like, it's in there, right? It's your internal clock. And from an early age, these are things that you went over in high school, in junior college, in college, in A-ball, in AA, and AAA, to just knowing your opponent, knowing the speed of the ball, the speed of the runner, and how much time I have. It's like, you guys have that, your clock when you go to break. You do this so much every day. You just know that I've been talking too long and I got to get to break. You don't need your producer to say that. You do this. You have so many reps, so many times that you just know. Or somebody says, I need a 2-minute spot out of you, and you don't even need a clock, because by the time you get to like 1:48, you got to start wrapping it up because you've been doing this so long. All these things that you guys do over and over again with the clock, you have that same internal clock as an infielder, even an outfielder for that matter with a runner, but more so an infielder. So the things you're seeing with Luciano, I don't even want to say these are young mistakes. They're just, I just don't know if he's a shortstop right now. And I think that's something that the Giants have to take a look at. Brett Wisely has done a great job. He's made some really nice plays on tricky hops that I don't think anybody can even see with the naked eye, the in-between hops, up the middle, throwing from the side. And the play to go to third last night, you can't teach that. The momentum's taking me third. The guy's right in front of me. There's an easy out. Those are things that just baseball players have with their instinct. And this is no knock on Marco Luciano, because he's a wonderful human being and a great kid. I just think you have to wonder, is he a shortstop or not? And I think with what we're seeing right now, I mean, it's not for me to say. I'm just a dork broadcaster, but like, I played shortstop the majority of my life until I got to AA. That's the only position I know a little bit about. And I'm not seeing the actions, the quick feet, the soft glove, the instincts, and the clock. Now, all this said, I don't know if he hurt his hamstring on that play. So as an announcer and as an analyst, you always have to back up a little bit and say, well, did he tweak it on that play when he bent over? And then he was like, ouch, that hurts. And then threw it. So, yeah, I don't know, but I've seen these things a number of times. I think last year he forgot how many outs there were in a double play. And it's just like, maybe there's a lot of thinking going on out there and not enough reaction based on just like where he is at the position. And with the way the Giants are playing right now and how good they're playing and how much they're relying on their bullpen and their starting pitching, I think that's the position, guys. Besides catcher, shortstop's the position. If we're talking about, position players. And that's, like I've said on your show a number of times, the big league's a tough place to learn that position, especially.
Wouldn't you have seen signs of these things, red flags, so to speak, in the minor leagues, as opposed to having them now appear in the big club?
Yeah. I mean, you would think, right?
Right.
But I don't know. I can't speak for that, Dibs, because I wasn't there. And as a guy that just watches the Giants in San Francisco and not in Sacramento or the Flying Squirrels in Richmond or San Jose. And I don't know. And I don't know if it's been addressed, but it would seem like, based on what we're seeing here, that it hasn't been, or they just thought that maybe the bright lights would up his intensity and concentration level, like Luis Matos. Luis Matos wasn't hitting well in AAA, but since he's gotten to the big leagues, it's like, oh, there's 40,000 people here. We're on TV. The bright lights and your concentration level goes up, your adrenaline level goes up. Your focus and realizing that it's all you have to do is play for a win and not my numbers. So your mindset changes when you get to the big leagues. And maybe Farhan was thinking, okay, well, yeah, we know about that, but his offense is so good and his bat plays that I just want to see him at the big league level just rake and hit bombs. I don't know.
FP, I don't want to ask you to speculate. Can you eliminate something from the possibility list? Because when people saw that live, the benching of Marco Luciano, the immediate thought was the dugout didn't like how long he took releasing the ball. They're yanking him out of the game, almost like the way a basketball coach will pull someone for not playing hard defense. Is that something that Bob Melvin would do?
No, and I'll tell you why. At the highest level, you treat people like men, and you don't bench people for physical errors, and you don't bench a young kid for a brain fart, and that was probably a brain fart. The only way you would bench somebody for taking too long that's his age with his experience is if somebody came up to him and said, and this is pure speculation, I don't know what happened. I'm just saying, for instance, in general, somebody says you got to get rid of that, and he told them to go F themselves. That would be, or if Ronald Acuna Jr. He got benched by Brian Snitker for not running it out, but that was like the fifth time that the manager told him, like, dude, you got to run these balls out. So if things are addressed a number of times, that's when you'll bench a guy for a mental error. But if it's just a brain fart and it's just one thing, you never bench a kid for that. You don't even bench a veteran for that unless you've had meetings or called him to the office and say, look, get rid of the ball. You're taking too much time. And he's like, whatever. And he's got that. But that's not the case here. Like, Marco Luciano is a great kid. I've been around him. He's a breath of fresh air. He's a wonderful person. And just because it isn't working out at shortstop right now doesn't make him a bad person. It's just, you just kind of wonder if that's his position right now. And based on what I've seen, can he grow into it? Maybe, but it's just not happening right now. Yeah,
we'll stay tuned for the next piece of news to drop, if it's an IL stint or a word that the hamstring is going to be okay and he stays. But we know that up next is the New York Yankees. When you know the Yankees are coming down, FP, what does it make you think about in terms of this team visiting the Giants?
Well, Juan Soto, who I love the kid, and I hope he has a great series and the ball carries, but the Giants win. That's the ultimate scenario. That it's a nice warm series. The ball flies out. Juan Soto gets his hits and his home runs, and the Giants win. The reason I'm saying that is so he'll sign with the Giants next year. Yeah, we want him to have a good series, but just not so good that the Giants don't win. A nice, warm, 70-degree day. The ball's flying at Oracle. He's 3 for 4 with 2 homers, but the Giants win 6-5. Oh. And then Juan goes, I want to play here. Hey, Scott, I really like it here. I want to play here. So, yeah, that's my hope. And it's the Yankees, dude. It's the rock stars. It's the traveling band, and it's going to be nuts. There's going to be tons of Yankees fans here. But, the Phillies came in, took 2 out of 3 from them, and hopefully, hey, one at a time. Orange Friday, beat the Yankees, see what happens.
Okay, so you want the Giants to sign Juan Soto. So which is it of Jung-Hoo Lee, Luis Matos, and Elliot Ramos that you hate?
I don't hate anybody. I'm really fond of Juan.
Okay.
I think Juan, he's a great kid. He's everything that's good about baseball. He can hit. He can actually play defense a lot better than people give him credit for. He's just a baseball player that loves the game and has a flair for it. And he's got swagger. He's a little bit cocky, but he's the most humble dude off the field ever. So I was lucky enough to be around him from day one. And I'm biased here, but also I think he'd really look good in orange and black.
Yeah, I mean, I was just kidding. Of course, we would take Juan Soto. But all right, hey, we want to let everybody know you're going to come in and hang out for like a pretty good period of time on Friday as we get ready for this series over at Oracle Park.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
All three of us. I mean, it's going to be great. It's going to be like the handoff thingy, but three of us.
Yeah.
For a while.
Extended handoff thingy. Exactly right. That's what we're going to call it.
Yeah. The extended handoff thingy with FP. I'll look for the advertisement on the YouTube channel. It'll be great.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
That's where we get all our news, FP. That's correct. All right, buddy. Thanks for hopping in.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'll see you Friday.